How do you want to record this meeting? Should I record it in the cloud?
Yeah. Yes. There you go.
We're on. Okay. I can shrink this. All right. Let's call the meeting to order. Okay, I'm going to take the roll call. My cheat sheet, I haven't memorized it yet. Is the mayor here? Butch.
Here.
Chief.
I am here.
David Mascaratalo.
Yes, sir.
Carol.
Here.
Amy. McMahon.
Here.
Herb Forgy. Steve. I saw Steve.
Here.
Thank you. Jen.
Here.
Liz. David Singer here. Gene Wall.
Here.
Okay, I'm going to go through the list of those that are invited but aren't voting members. George Vandelinder. Marlo. I saw Marlo here.
Present.
Fernando.
Here.
Police Chief. Don't see him. John Andrews. Eric Turok. Laura Phelps.
Here.
Thank you, Laura. Ed Jarvis.
Here.
Greg Diefendorf. I saw Greg here. Greg, would you just say you're here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Peter.
Present.
Neil.
I am here, David.
You are here, Neil? Oh, there you are. Can't miss you.
That hurts.
Dennis. Huh?
Here. I'm here.
And Katrina and Adam.
They are in a company-wide meeting. So I am representing us today.
Oh, okay. You better be prepared. Roger.
Here.
Okay, good. All right. This meeting is being recorded by the Fire Station Building Committee. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Anybody else recording the meeting? Thank you, Jaden. Anybody else? Okay. This morning, you were all sent from Peter the minutes for the meeting of March 2nd. Is there anyone who did not receive the minutes? Okay. Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Thank you, Jean. Second?
Second.
Who was that?
Steve.
Thank you, Steve. All right, any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? I'm going to go through the roll call. Please say aye. Mayor? Not here yet. Butch?
Aye.
Chief?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
David? Please say something.
Aye. Aye.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Herb? Not here yet. Steve?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Liz? Here yet? David Singer, yes. Gene Wall?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right. The next thing is to hear from the Temporary Fire Station Subcommittee. David, you have some news for us?
Yes, sir. So on our Monday meeting, we ranked the three companies that submitted proposals for the apparatus phase. New England Builders McAfee Structures was ranked number 1. Symmetric Glassband was ranked number 2, and BW Construction was ranked number 3. After discussing in detail the three companies and looking at the technical and the price proposals, our recommendation the recommendation we voted on and agreed upon to present to the full building committee for a vote tonight would be New England Builders and McAfee Structures.
Thank you. Do you think, Neil, I think you might have done this for the meeting on Monday. Can you present the three bidders in the meeting? Can you put them up on the blackboard?
Yeah,
Thank you. And if you could slide down so they could see people. Oh,
Yeah.
there's the price. Sorry, it's all there. Thank
I'm
you.
zooming out.
Thank you.
Better?
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So, David, in light of these three bidders, for the public who are in watching, and for members of the committee that didn't go to the meeting, you had you reviewed what's the word I'm looking for?
Evaluated.
We evaluated.
Evaluated. Yes, thank you. You evaluated these three, and can you tell us a little bit about that, the evaluating of the three, and then how you came to the conclusion of the top of the one you're recommending that we bid on?
Sure. So we did first evaluate them technically, and we pretty much agreed on the ranking with the individual rankings for each three. We felt like New England Builders closely met the spec a little. Some ClearSpan had met the spec, and we felt like BW Construction, we could have used their system, but it was a little bit out of the ordinary, and we didn't feel like we wanted to risk using a system that they were proposing. When we got when the price proposals were opened up, it was pretty clear that McGaffey Structures was the lowest out of them. You can see that here. It's pretty clear. And also their delivery date was more suited to our schedule. The other two, we might have been able to negotiate those delivery dates, but they were both kind of on the tail end of July. And New England Builders and McGaffey were before and a lot closer to where we wanted to be. So putting it together with the McGaffey meeting the spec and all the details in the RFP, their delivery date, and them being the lowest bidder, that's how we determined they were number one.
Okay, thank you, David. So does anyone, I can't see everyone because this is on the screen, and Neil, please leave it on the screen for one more minute. But if someone wants to say something, can you just type into the chat room and I'll recognize you? Okay, I don't see anything. If that's the case, then David, is there anything else you'd like to describe for us before I ask you to make a motion to approve Mahaffey Northeast Builder, any builders, Mahaffey Structures as the top bid, or approve these three in the order that you you've recommended. If you don't have any more to say about it, then can you please make that motion?
Yeah, the only thing I have to say is once we vote on it, Neil will get the ball rolling with respect to drawings and specifications, and then we can really put a good solid schedule together on delivery. And we'll do the same for the apparatus when that information comes in, probably at the next meeting. So once there's an approval tonight, we that will really get the ball rolling on things. So I will make a motion to the building committee. I don't think we need to, David, just quick question. I don't think we need to make a motion to re-rank these, just a motion to discuss and accept our number one, right?
No, well, maybe Neil could help with that. I think you need to rank them, right?
I think the motion should be to accept the ranking recommendation of the subcommittee.
Okay.
And engage New England Builders and Mahaffey Structures as the preferred solution.
Okay.
All right. So moved, David.
Yeah. So do we need to restate the motion? I can't.
Just say so. If you say so moved, you're repeating the motion.
Okay. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Okay. Again, I want to leave this on here so that people can look at it while we're talking. is there anyone anybody want to say, Neil, is there any more you think we should add to the conversation here before we vote? Are there members of the fire department that have any comments or anything to say? Now's your time.
David, my
Yeah.
only comment would be that New England Builders and Mahaffey have worked together before on a similar project in Needham, and Mahaffey has performed without New England Builders on several other temporary fire station projects across the Commonwealth. So I think we certainly have the most experienced at the best value with the earliest delivery date. So I think it was an easy conclusion and a good recommendation by the subcommittee.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. You can now, Neil, can you please take that off the screen? Thank you.
Was there a second on that motion by David?
Yeah, me, the mayor.
Mayor.
Copy, thank you.
Okay, roll call vote. So if there's no discussion, I'm calling it. All right, so all in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Mayor?
Aye.
Butch?
Aye.
Chief?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Herb?
Aye.
Let's note that Herb is here. Steve?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
David Singer, aye, and Jean Wall. Jean?
She's here.
It looks like she's having trouble.
No.
Okay. I don't even see her on the screen.
Well, right now, yeah, it's just GPS K-12 WebEx, so then it's
Okay.
got a bandwidth.
So it passes. So that's good. So now we have authority to move ahead. Okay, so the next is just to have our experts, Dennis and Neil, talk to us about things that they think are important for us to know. Dennis, you had sent me an email about what you see is coming up in terms of narratives or reports to us. So why don't you go first and let us know what's coming, what's ahead.
Okay, so I spoke with CES, who is our mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering company, and their principal, Derek Bride, likes to give a presentation. It's a two-part presentation. The first part is a general overview of mechanical systems, electrical systems, fuel sources, what the community wants, what the committee wants, what the fire people are looking for. And based on what he hears, and including maintenance, because I know George is very interested in the maintenance side of it, what he hears from that first presentation, which is about a half hour, he will then take back and then do a second presentation about a week or two later, most likely two if that's where our meeting falls. And he will get very specific about the systems that fall into the categories that people are interested in, using the fuel types, longevity, energy savings, long-term, short-term goals, budget goals. He'll quantify all that and then compare the various systems for the committee. So it's a two-part thing. We'd like to start the first part at our next meeting and take about a half hour out of the meeting and have Derek address, like I just described. And then from that, go to the meeting afterwards. So that's what I discussed with David Singer. I had sent him an email outlining that. And that's where we'd like to go with it. Also,
Okay.
Just to inform you that Marlo, I believe George and Adam and Kate had a meeting earlier today. I was not here for that, but they were talking about some specifics for the hookups. Marlo, if I miss anything, please help me here. But they were talking about the specifics. Neil was in that too. I apologize, Neil.
You're forgiven,
the
Dennis.
trailers are gonna be coming soon, and we know what they are, we know what the CAFE is gonna be. I think they got into more specifics, and Neil, maybe you can fill in for me, please.
So we've, in our discussion with Marlo and Sam from the DPW earlier today, we really focused on the services and the systems that we'd be bringing in from the street. So your domestic water, the fire protection line, as well as the sewer and the oil water separator going out of the trailers, and sort of the general enabling work that the DPW will be doing with us to land the trailers later this spring.
Right, and then last thing I have, David, is on Monday and Tuesday of next week, both days we're going to have the survey crew out on the permanent site doing the actual meets and bounds and topographic survey. And then on Tuesday, at the same time, we will have the folks with the ground penetrating radar. They'll be bringing their truck out. And Mayor, I believe you need to ask the Toyota folks to move some vehicles so we can get that vehicle on there.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. If that was in the email, I didn't see it. I knew it was for the owner's benefit to move vehicles, but I didn't think about Toyota. Thank you.
Right, okay.
And what day?
Tuesday is when the ground penetrating radar is coming.
Yeah.
Survey crew will be both days.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I see we have Kate, so our company-wide meeting must be over.
So I have a question well, Neil would be next, but in terms of the meeting and with Marla, maybe the both of you could help us. So you feeling optimistic that the DPW can manage to do the things that we're hopeful that the DPW can do on the site?
I have no reservations.
Today was a very productive meeting as we move forward. I have no reservations at this point. We're just waiting for final plans, and I do know that we're going to dig safety areas for all involved to help going forward. And as soon as we get those final details, which is soon to come, we're going to hop on this and start providing those services.
And Marla, do you think that there'll be any time constraints? Do you think timeliness will be okay?
You know, I want to go on a limb and say no problem at all, but we never know what happens in DPW with emergencies. So that's why we want to get on our work that we can assist with here with this project as soon as possible, so that if we have any gaps in between, it's very important to me in the department that we hit the target dates of delivery.
Great. Okay.
So
We're pushing our consultants and ourselves to make that happen so that Marlo doesn't get a pinch because of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to snow anymore, so we're going to move ahead. Correct, Mayor?
No, Butch and I want more snow.
What?
Butch and I want more snow. We just want it on the ski mountain, nowhere else.
Go to Colorado. They're getting 2 feet of snow. You can have all the snow.
Go find it someplace else. Yeah.
Okay, Dennis, anything else you want to add about anything about so the design and everything? You'll start to talk to us about that once we start going over the systems and things of that nature.
Yes, absolutely. Right now, we're concentrating completely on what we need to do for the temporary, both the trailers and the tents. Everything about temporary is where our focus is.
Okay.
Right. If I may add something, David?
Please.
I do want to mention that in our discussion with Marlo this afternoon, we did bring up the prospect that as soon as we can, we need to start setting up meetings with the chief and his crew for programming on the permanent station. So that's something to look forward to in the near future.
Well, it's good that the chief doesn't have very much to do, so he probably can block out a ton of time.
No.
to make it happen. So
Yes.
lucky you hit him at a good moment.
Yeah.
I
I don't see him smiling. There he is. He's smiling.
He's sneering. I think he's sneering at me. Okay, go ahead, Butch.
Just a question for maybe Neil or Marlo. When are you going to block off the lot and not allow people to park there? And then maybe, I don't know, the mayor might jump in. Are you offering the people that are using the lot now for the courthouse and other alternative spaces at the parking garage or any of that sort of stuff?
Well, the way
Neil,
we
you want me
structured
to-
parking.
Whoop.
Hello, who's answering here? How many of us?
Sorry, I was asking Neil if he wanted me to respond to a piece of it, Mayor, but go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, with respect to the people that are parking there, if they have permits, the way we structured permits this year, which I'm sure they do, because I doubt they go out and feed the meters, every so often, but I never know. If they have permits that they bought this year, then those are good in any other parking lot in Greenfield. So there's a nice parking lot across the street for a few more months. And then, there's other permitted places that they can go, including a parking garage. So that's the way we've structured it. We have not offered them any special deals, but it is good to be reminded, and thank you for that we do need to, I'm guessing based on a conversation I had earlier today with Marla, which it didn't trigger my memory there either, so I appreciate the question, Butch, that we need to at least send them all a letter if we happen to know who they are, which I think we do in our system. So I'll put the parking czarina on that, and she can notify them. If we can come up with a reasonable date in mind, are we talking week from now, 2 weeks from now? So that, I think that's where Marlo comes in.
So that's actually a two-answer question. First of all, we're working on the final plans as we run our utilities in. But I will say that we're going to need the lower level to begin with to start this process, and the second level can remain open. We discussed that today in our meeting. So, it all depends on when we receive the final plans. Working with Neil and the rest of the group. I did mention to Sam we want to get that dig safe. It's good for 30 days so that everyone can do their work. So I may be requesting that the lower level be closed off. It could be 2 weeks, could be a week, could be 4 weeks, Mayor. I can't really give a...
No, I guess 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, or 2 weeks to 4 weeks total, and then they could go back until we really need to start digging the place up. What are you saying?
Right. So we can start the work. If we have the final plans in place, we're going to keep on going at this point and come to an end point with our utilities to expect the structures to come in. So the time frame, excuse me, is a little tough. Again, we mentioned the snow word. I hope we don't get much more. If we have final plans in hand, as we discussed today, we're going to keep on going. That's the plan.
Okay.
But
So
we don't need to do much. Yeah, we don't need to
make
do
it
much.
a permanent thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but we got a little time here. Neil, if Neil or Katrina wants to chime in, we got a little bit of time here, a couple of weeks, I'm guessing. But they can probably answer that a little better.
So the delivery date on the modular offices is actually after the apparatus bays. And that delivery is, their scheduled completion, I think, is May 31st from memory. So I would think, we're probably going to give them the better part of at least the month of May in order to erect the structures. And I would argue sooner is better. If they could have them there next week, we'd start next week for sure. I think the reality is with contracts and insurance and the speed with which that will move through the city, I think it's realistic to think we'd have little work other than the DPW work over the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so sooner rather than later, we're not too far out from April. And it'll be, there's no coming back from it, is what I'm hearing. Once we clear them out, they're not coming back till we finish the project and the trailers get moved and we reclaim the parking lot. Okay.
Go ahead, Marlo.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that. I mean, we want to get going as early as possible on running the utilities in, water, sewer, et cetera. I mean, if we run this in, say, 200 feet and we're ready to, and we're waiting on buildings, there's no reason why we can't open the lot back up for a period of time. But it's hard to put a timeline on that.
Yeah.
The lower lot, we just would like closed so that we can get in there and do our thing and proceed as far as we can as we go forward.
Mayor, just so you know, that parking lot is used primarily by the courthouse.
Yeah, I was reasonably certain of that fact.
Okay.
I mean, other than people that just use it because they.
Right.
It's a parking.
The courthouse people are coming into work, and one day they'll come in and there'll be a sign. So you'll hear from them.
Are they actually there? But that's another story. But there are certainly people that probably use it who are actually have court dates as well. So we will make sure that it is clear that the whole parking lot, including the paid spaces, is off limits from whatever time we decide, April something to forever.
2022.
Yeah, 222. Yeah.
Okay. So Neil, do you have anything special to talk to us about in addition to what we've spoken about?
David, the only thing I have to add is we have procured and are expecting delivery on 2 ground level storage units that the fire department is going to use for long-term storage during the temporary station. Those are scheduled to arrive tomorrow morning I think the first one's coming at 8 o'clock. And I know that we've coordinated with Marlo and those parking spaces have been blocked off. So that,
okay.
Other than that, we're pushing forward with the temporaries.
Great. Okay. So Dennis and Neil are done. So we're now at the point of whether or not, where we're at with the purchase and sale agreement or the property on Coombs, and hear from the mayor on that.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, what I can say about that is we are making great progress. We're sort of in the final stages of our agreement with them. And when I say final stages, we are maintaining ongoing conversations with the owners, and, we're marching the actual P&S to its conclusion. But what we need to do is a second phase of environmental study before we can really know everything we need to know about the property. And that second phase, as we talked about a little earlier, that's what we were talking about, moving all the vehicles and doing the whatever it was you said, the survey stuff, begins next week. So from beginning to end, I don't have a definitive date, but for that environmental study, and maybe Adam or one of you folks can help me out there, will be about a 6 or 8 week process, in which case we will get the final information that we need for both parties to make their decisions. That doesn't mean that it's going to take that long to do all that testing, but once they've done all that testing, then they have to analyze the information and get a report to us. So it feels like a long way, but it also feels like we've come a really long way from the time we started negotiating. So it's been an interesting progress, and not without its interesting moments. So But all in all, very good process.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just so
Sure.
people know as well, there'll be no closing on the property until
Correct.
phase 2 is completed and evaluated by this committee. So just so the public understands that, but that's the next phase. I see no reason to go into executive session. There's nothing that we need to talk about in that regard. The next meeting will be the second Thursday of April, I believe is the 8th. And if my short-term memory works, Dennis, that would be a meeting where we're going to schedule a presentation, correct?
That is correct, David.
All right, just follow up with me, please, maybe a little before that meeting so I can get it, so I could, just so I could put it on specifically on 48 hours ahead of what's going to happen, okay?
Okay, yep.
All right, before we adjourn, are there any comments, questions, statements?
I have one. I may have my meetings confused. I thought Neil was going to give us a schedule, but maybe it's still just a little bit too early since we're just now finishing up our discussions with this.
Yeah, what I'd like to do, Mayor, over the next 2 weeks is to take care of contracts, get contracts executed, get into the shop drawing process, and then I think we can refine delivery dates a little bit tighter. And then we can play into the earlier work. Hopefully we'll be underway or starting to be underway in the next couple of weeks. And then with delivery dates firmed up from the vendors, we can really put a good schedule together from there.
Okay, so for the benefit of the 1 or 2 people who are on here who have an interest in the library and its schedule, are we still roughly on the same schedule we were? And remind me what that was. It's changed a little bit, but you wouldn't anticipate moving in to the temporary structures. I think we were more or less in the late July, early August. Is that still more or less given no major issues?
Yeah, right now, it looks like the latest modular units that are going to arrive are the offices. Those are scheduled to come in mid-May. I'm sorry, excuse me, mid-June. I apologize. And then we're anticipating 4 to 6 weeks of work after that in terms of moving the communications, hooking up all the services, et cetera, et cetera. So that puts us well into July before those buildings would be ready to occupy.
Okay, all right. Well, that can be refined as we know more and as we get more into it, correct?
Mayor, we fully understand the sooner that we can get occupied, the better it is for the city. We get that completely, and we're going to do everything in our power to get there as early as possible.
Yeah, okay.
Neil, before we go, is there anything, any change in your negotiations with Vanguard since our last meeting in terms of giving you a general, well, not a general, but an appropriation with some feedback later? Is there any new news in that regard in your negotiation?
David, only that we have exchanged contracts with Vanguard this afternoon. They replied back to me that they would like to include some supplemental language as part of their terms and conditions, which quite honestly, I have not yet read. So I don't know what they're asking, but we will circulate that back through Laura and the procurement department. And with no exception by the city, we should have that contract signed and back to us, I would guess, early next week.
Will there be things in the contract that allow us, with the help of our DPW, again, for example, to save even more money, or are we settling in at 405 with all the work being defined at this point?
So we had a conversation with Fernando and his team from IT. We were able to save an additional $10,000. And I think the contract is going to come in right around $394, in that range, $395. And I think that will probably be the price at the end of the day. And that's, again, that's based on 22 months.
Okay, but that's also based on the division of labor between the city and.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Neil. All right, since I made a comment, I have to give everybody else a chance. It's only fair. Anybody else want to say anything before we adjourn? All right, so can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion. Second.
Who moved? Gene?
Carol.
Carol moved, seconded by David. Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. You say aye. Oh, Fernando, before do I just leave the meeting and the recording will stop, or do I need to turn off the recording?
Turn it off.
It will stop.
All right.
You can stop it too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the motion to adjourn. Those in favor, Mayor,
Yes.
Butch,
Yes.
Chief,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Amy. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Herb,
Yes. Yeah.
Steve. Thank you. Herb.
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
David. Yes. Gene
This
Wall.
feels like,
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned. So anything said now is unofficial.
well, I just want to thank everybody. This feels like a meeting where progress has been made and real things will start happening. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, rock on, everybody.
Thanks.
All righty.
Have a great
Yeah.
afternoon.